All right. Well, everybody, hello and welcome to the very first episode of Navigating Aquatics with Ace. My name's Tom Higgins. I'm joined by Phil Waggett in New Zealand and Wes King in Chicago, Illinois. I'm sure if you've clicked on this, you're wondering kind of who we are, and what that subway map in front of you is all about, which we'll get into for sure a lot later in this episode and in a lot more depth in episodes to come. But I guess first off, you probably want to know who we are and what is ACE. And without further ado, I'll kick it over to you on that Phil. Who you are, what are you doing over in New Zealand, and what is ACE?
Yeah, so I've been involved in aquatics for quite a while now. I started when I was a swim teacher when I was 14, and I've done pretty much most roles within aquatics. Over the last few years, I've been really heavily invested in drowning prevention and how we stop one of the world's biggest killers. And what we found was one of the biggest barriers to participation is having facilities that are thriving in a difficult environment these days. And this is where the ACE system was born from. The whole point of the program and the system is to take you through each different aspect of running aquatic facilities and give those leaders in aquatics the guidance, help and support that they need to not only survive a very challenging environment, but to thrive in it as well.
Nice. Yeah. No, I mean, makes sense. And then Wes, yourself, how did you come to meet Phil, and how do you think why do you think this is a good idea, and a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I think that's a great way to say an opportunity to make the aquatic properties better and the aquatic managers better with a support system. This is year 29 for me in aquatics, and I've ranged in management from the largest water parks in the United States to YMCAs to JCCs, and spent a lot of time in medical and fitness facilities as well. And the underlining theme, and Phil said it, is operating excellence, operating support, and understanding what it takes to run a pool properly so that you can impact, sadly, these drowning statistics and, one of the world's worst killers, and it's preventable. And so to that point, I've always searched for great systems. I've always searched for great support and tried to provide it myself. And that's how I got to you, Tom. Just under a year ago, we connected. And the more I learned about ACE and the more I learned about its global reach, to our point, Chicago to Thailand to New Zealand, just on this call this week, but equally the universal acceptability of it. No matter what organization you work in, no matter what training or certification modality you have in aquatics, or what national or local brand of service or qualifications you've obtained, this system covers it. We don't care where you come from. We don't care what type of pool you run. We care that there's an opportunity to educate you and invite you to learn ways to do it a little more structurally and a little more sound. And so that's why I'm involved, because I believe in the system.
Nice. Good.
I think to add to that as well, Tom, I think one of the things that I'm really looking forward to the most about this podcast is that international reach of this. You've got people from New Zealand, Australia, America, and the aim is that we get all different types of aquatic experts coming on, talking about their experience and helping that new generation come through. We all know that we're caretakers of the knowledge, not the holders of it. And it's important that we as leaders within this industry pass that on to the next generation. And that's definitely one of the things that I'm looking forward to the most out of this podcast.
Nice.
First of all, thank you for making me feel old, Phil. I always appreciate that. And second, you're right. From COVID, from hierarchy, from organizational crossover, to aquatics managers running multiple departments and multiple depart leaders running aquatics, there is a definitive gap in secondary and third training and ongoing support and handing the baton off. And so I agree with you, Phil. This is very exciting to be able to pair this knowledge and then bring it forward.
Nice. So there are your two experts in the field, shall we say. I'll kind of be your host through this podcast series, running you through. My name's Tom. I met Phil when I was out in New Zealand, living out there for 6-7 years. Phil kind of shared with me his plan for water safety of splash save, which we'll get into later in these episodes as well, I'm sure. I thought that was a great idea. I hopped on board, and I've been back in America for about a year now, kind of moving Splash Save and now Ace back there. That's where I linked up with Wes. But I'm the opposite of these two. I have very little knowledge at the moment still of aquatic centers and the whole aquatic industry. So it'd be a bit of a different vibe, and I think it'll be good for people who, you know, might be thrown into situations, maybe like if you've been given a pool or if you've been given an aquatic center, or even if you know, anything like that, and you don't know what to do. I think it's good to hear from somebody who doesn't have the, you know, who has the basic questions, which might seem basic, but it's good to have the experts on to answer. So a bit of a breakdown of kind of how things are going to run is, you're looking at this subway map in front of you, and there's a lot of information, from hiring to retire, entry to exit, cleaning the pool, and all that stuff. And we're going to get in depth to that every kind of episode and all that good stuff. But right now, kind of, Phil, I just want you to go over maybe 1 to 2 key takeaways of somebody who would be using Ace. What are they going to be getting from it? What's the main goal when somebody logs in and takes a look at it?
Yep. So Ace has been built to cover that area from when you go from that lifeguard or swim teacher into that next layer of management. There's a whole bunch of other things that's thrown at you, such as budgets and hiring and cleaning schedules, rostering, all of these different things that you then need to start learning. So this system's been built for anybody that is in the senior roles within aquatics, anything from your pool deck supervisor all the way up to a director can use what's in here. While some of it you may well have really good processes in place already, this covers all of the major 8 processes that you need to cover to make sure that your facility is running as well as it can. So while you might be strong in some in some of the areas, you might find you're weak in some of the others, and this tool can help you get stronger in those. This also comes along with some free assessments as well, so you can have a look at it. You can do the overarching assessment, which gives you the areas that you probably should be looking at a little bit more than the others. But really, the ACE system has been designed for anybody and everybody in a senior role within aquatics.
Nice.
And I love how you phrased it too, Phil. This isn't taking away what you have. There are some great acronymed organizations in the United States, nonprofit and for-profit, that have internal structures. There are great certification bodies in this country and out of this country that are amazing at certifying bodies. What we're saying is here, let's assess, right? One of the key phrases and key words is self-assessment, self-awareness. That's part of the system. And second is, to your point, Phil, is doesn't matter what you have. It matters how can this system support what's in place. If it's not in place, how can it find its way, sit in your property, sit on your team, and apply itself? A lot of the challenges that we have in this industry is my company has to do it this way, and we've got to, doesn't matter here. Everybody's got to have a pump room. Everybody's got to have clean water. Everybody's got to hire staff. And so again, I think organically, the thought process behind this is what are universal 8 universal aspects of management, and how can we apply them no matter what organization you're with to provide that support or balance as needed. And so I think it came from a very pure and organic place, which is another reason why I think it works so well.
The other great thing is it can be done on the job. So the whole system hasn't been designed to replace anything you have. It has been designed to build on top of. And it can be done in your world, in your environment, with your organization. So everything that's been built in here is not a do this, do this, do this. It's definitely a guidance pathway that is on the job learning, which is everybody that works in aquatics knows that's what we need, is on the job learning that is relevant to aquatics. In my experience, that's always been really hard to find, and that's why we built this, was to fill that gap where nothing currently existed in that space.
Well, look at something as simple as job descriptions. If I understand, ACE has something like 22 job descriptions available with titles, with verb, with terminology. I have had clients I've worked with just this week that said, we're hiring this type of position. What we did was we went to ACE, we downloaded the 22 job descriptions, we looked at all the titles, we looked at all the phrasing, we pulled apart, copied and pasted what we wanted into the existing job description from the company, which then got approved by HR because, again, as most properties do, 80 to 90% of the job descriptions probably already written, maybe 40 to 50 at worst. So what we did is we took the ACE wording, uploaded it, inserted to a deck supervisor, head lifeguard, and lead swim coach, head swim, secondary swim coach, like an assistant swim coach. So 3 kind of secondary leadership positions, all that had to have specific terminology. And within one button, we pulled it up on the splash save documents and had all the wording right there. So again, giving a very site-specific example of what you're getting at is that let's make it moldable and amendable to each property and each organization.
And there's so many things that you come across in aquatics where you just scratch your head, especially if you've come from either not being in the aquatics industry or just moving up from that lifeguard role. And that, again, is the purpose of this tool, is to provide that on the button ability to be able to find the information that you need and have it come from a good source and then be able to implement it in your real life environment.
If I can give, go ahead, Phil or Tom.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, if you wanted to touch a bit more on, I don't know if that's where you were going, Wes, but I mean, I'm sure both of you have seen tons of different of pools and facilities when you walk in. And I think to the outsider, when, you walk in on a Saturday with your kid, you just assume the water is clean. You assume the lifeguard knows what he's doing. You assume. But what is the reality of that more along the lines of maybe one person there might know what they're doing, and this is a tool that can let everyone there know what they're doing? Or is it, we I think us as the outsiders coming in just assume everything's run properly. But is this something that kind of, everyone in the whole facility now can know what they're doing, and how much do you think that's really needed in the industry?
Great question. I can tell you on the speaking very generally, so if there's anybody in America listening or watching this podcast, please know I'm not trying to overgeneralize, but we either have a third-party vendor that doesn't work there, hired out. We either have a certified CPO operator that is there in charge of the pool and something else. We have an aquatic department that's overrun. So, Tom, I think the properties are maintained. The challenge is the sustainability of how they're maintained, that if one individual falls off that rail, we call it the hit by the bus theory. I wrote a 300-page aquatic manual literally called, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, which some people would cheer for nonetheless, would this property operate safely? And Tom, that's the point I'm making, is one cog and one wheel breaks and your question falls apart. And that's what's happened with so many properties. They're there, we're okay, but this system puts those stable legs underneath us. This system helps each department understand how it can incorporate its support back up to aquatics. So if this leg gets wobbly, we're okay. And right now, I think in a very general, non-stereotypical fashion, there's a lot of properties in this country that are one leg away from falling over.
Makes sense. Yeah, Phil, any would you say kind of similar situations out in New Zealand? Or
the funny thing is over the last probably 5 years, I've had the privilege of doing a little bit more international work. The initial work that I was doing across New Zealand then, kind of carried me a little bit around. And the thing that I've found is aquatics is quite similar no matter where you are. So I've worked in aquatics in the UK, in Australia, and in New Zealand. And the problems are largely the same across the board. There is a lot of, people that have a lot of knowledge, and whether or not that gets filtered down or not, again, entirely depends on the organisation and the facility. What I have always found is everybody in this industry is amazing, and they are doing their best in what is a very challenging environment. And again, that's where one of the reasons why I stepped out of running the facilities and moving more onto this side of things was because I really felt we could help that next generation moving forward and learn the things that I suppose me and Wed had to, go through walls to try and achieve. That shouldn't be the same moving forward. So what we're trying to do with this, again, is make those facilities survive and thrive moving forward. As a sector, like I say, globally, we're quite similar problems. It's difficult to retain staff. it's difficult to maintain a balanced budget when everything is so expensive in the aquatic space. And again, that's what we've designed this for. And the thing that I like the most is it uses global best practice to give you the right answers.
Yes. Before Tom makes us stop talking, because I'm sure there'll be a bell here soon, I think our next subject should be that budgetary strategy, Phil. And then, because there's a lot to go into detail, and then to kind of bring that all back, and I promise, Tom, I'll let you put a button on this. Anybody who knows me is not surprised by this. Second and third is, there are so many smart people in this industry. There are so many experts in this industry. And if they had a tool like this to be able to show their knowledge on paper to their boss, to their world, to their community, when they fill these boxes out and they complete these checklists and they print these reports and they fill the map out, they can actually prove their own journey, but prove the sustainability and success of their pool in a way they might not have been able to before. So I digress. I'll let you go, Tom.
No, there was no bell. There was no bell coming. But no, just to kind of give the people an idea of where we're going to go from here and what's going to happen next is you'll be seeing a lot more of us after Christmas. There's a lot to get through. All of these, subway tracks here have their own information, own things we can dive into. But we also want to hear what you guys are struggling with, what you guys, want to hear us talk about. There's a lot we can get to, and it'll be a little bit more formal than this first episode, kind of explaining who we are and what we are. But yeah, each week we want to just take you through what ACE can kind of provide for your facility and what we're doing to to get the word out there and to help and stuff like that. And Phil, I don't know if you have anything else you want to touch on to let people know of what we'll be bringing to them, but that's kind of the idea of what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, again, from me, it's definitely, we want to hear your questions. We want to get people on here and talk all things aquatics, everything that we can do. If you're thinking it's a question, there are many others that are thinking it's a question. So utilize the knowledge. Jump online, ask any questions that you want. Check the ACE system out and have a look for yourself. Maybe try one of the free assessments. And then, we look forward to, as I say, sharing a bit of global best practice into the world of aquatics.
Yeah. Wes, do you have anything to add before we...
That would be my... that would be my reinforcement. Doing this as long as I have, sometimes it's easy to get skeptical. It's easy to get skeptical of digital support, easy to get skeptical of the new shiny bells and whistles. What I would encourage you to do is come at this with a real approach to what are you struggling with every day? What do I have challenges with? And dig through ACE and see if it's there. Dig through ACE and see if there's information on it. Dig through ACE and see if there's not information on it. And if there's not, let's talk about it. If there is, let's make it make sense. Because I think that's really where a lot of leaders are at, is how can I get consistent help? And I think taking a few minutes out of your day and checking this out will give some insight to that. So look forward to chatting next time.
Yeah. So guys, that's the overview of navigating aquatics with ACE. Like I said, you'll be seeing us once the new year kicks in. We'll be going into, like I said, a little bit less formal, a little bit more into depth on specific things each week, and we're hopefully looking forward to hearing from you guys, and it'll be a good time. So till next time, we will talk soon, guys.